Hello, my name is Michael Lambert, and today I want to talk a little bit about, I want to talk about something I've found which is, I think, rather shocking, and I think it's going to shock you, concerning the fact that we're really becoming a police state under this government. And also I wanted to say a little bit about the coronation. Now, you'll remember that Priti Patel was the Home Secretary at one stage, and she's since been replaced by Braverman. Both of them are Indians, and both of them are daughters of immigrants, and both of them seem to have issues in terms of being extremely, extremely hard and unempathetic towards people who are worse off, people who are desperate, people who are particularly, above all, asylum seekers. And Braverman seems to spend all her time, or they both did actually, spending all the time trying to find ways of punishing them or just getting rid of them and failing over and over again. I think it's some sort of issue she's got with, a sort of lack of confidence or something, whereby she has to overreact to all these things. But anyway, she is absolutely determined. As she said herself, it is her obsession, it's her dream to see planes taking off to Rwanda full of desperate asylum seekers coming to this country. A truly, truly horrible authoritarian woman. And you probably remember that earlier this year she brought in the police crime sentencing and courts bill, and that really clamped down on demonstrations. It made it very much more difficult to demonstrate. It gave the police huge powers. For example, police can tell you where you cannot demonstrate. They can tell you the times that you can demonstrate. They can limit the time that you're demonstrating. And above all, if you make too much noise, they can stop your demonstration altogether. Huge powers. And anybody's ever been on a demonstration, especially a lot of people there. I mean, what is it supposed to be in silence? And it's just absolute nonsense. But it was just all to show how tough she was, and she wasn't having people demonstrating in the streets. Well, as if that wasn't enough, a few days ago, earlier this week, she rushed through rather quickly a new bill. It's called the Public Order Act of 2023. And this is to give the police even greater powers. And this is what I wanted to draw to your attention, because it's this that I found so shocking. Now, under this act, there's a section 6, and it reads as follows. This section confers on any constable in uniform power, A, to stop any person and search them or anything carried by them for a prohibited object, B, to stop any vehicle and search the vehicle, its driver and any passenger for prohibited objects. Now, you might say if the police suspect you carrying a weapon or carrying drugs or so on, they should really have the right to stop and search you. And fair enough, I don't think anybody could particularly object to that. But it then goes on to the next section, which is section 7, and it says as follows. A constable may, in the exercise of the powers conferred by subsection 6, that's the one I've just read out, may stop any person or vehicle and make any search the constable thinks fit, whether or not the constable has any grounds for suspecting that the person or vehicle is carrying a prohibited object. So what that says, and it's perfectly clear, any policeman in this country, anywhere, can stop anybody and search them. All the police now, every constable in the country has the authority to stop anyone at will. I mean, this is Belarus, this is Russia, this is so draconian. And the scope for abuse, the possibilities of abuse, of the police being able to stop anybody, I mean, it's almost unlimited. I mean, the police are not exactly the whitest of the white when it comes to being innocent these days. We all remember Wayne Couzens and the terrible murder of Sarah Eberhardt. And then there was that guy Carrick, wasn't it? He was sent to prison, wasn't he? Recently guilty of 49 offences, including dozens of rapes. Following that, there was a bit of investigation in the Met Police, and this was a statement by a senior officer in the police. More than 1,000 Metropolitan Police officers and staff remain in service, still working, despite being accused of sexual offences or domestic abuse. That's the Met said that. The Yard released figures which also demonstrated results were awaited in the case of investigations underway into more than 230 officers over sexual assault allegations alone, and another 556 for racism. Now, there are hundreds of thousands, tens and tens of thousands of policemen, and the vast majority, I have no doubt whatsoever, honest, decent, responsible citizens, and they probably thoroughly disapprove of their colleagues who are misbehaving. But it still remains there are an awful lot of bad policemen. And you're saying to all these policemen, do what you like, stop anybody. If you see a pretty girl driving a car late at night, stop her, search her, make her get out the car if you want to. Make her empty her pockets. Look all through the car, intimidate her. If you get off on that, if you get off on being a big guy and pushing people around, or you want to chat her up, and what about somebody who knows somebody who they've fallen out with, and he knows somebody who's a policeman? He says, if you could just do us a favour and give him a bit of make life a bit difficult for him, and just go and stop him and search him. You're the scope for abuse of this, because we're giving all power to the police to do virtually anything they like. And how long will it be before somebody's searched and they make a fuss and they object, and suddenly, lo and behold, they find some drugs in the car when they're searching, which they've planted. The scope for the abuse of this legislation, which is so open, is it's almost unlimited, and it's really, really frightening. As I say, this is a police state where the police have power to search you and stop you at any time, just on a whim, because they fancy you, because they've just got nothing to do, might be a bit bored. It's just beyond belief. But it was rushed through. It was rushed through the other day. They wanted to get it done before the coronation in case there's any trouble at the coronation, and you've already seen people being arrested for doing virtually nothing there and handcuffed. There was a thing on the news only yesterday, some girl being handcuffed and taken away, which is peaceful protesting. This is giving the police much, much, much too much power. But it's all Braverman's big ego trip, showing how tough she is. In the meantime, as we know, she's doing everything possible to make life as difficult as possible for desperate asylum seekers. So anyway, I just wanted to say, I'm sure this is nothing very original, but I just want to say about the coronation. I think by the time you watch this, it will either be on or be all over. But it seems to me that to hold such a lavish and such an extravagant and expensive event at a time when so many of the country are suffering, so many people are really desperate. People are depending on food banks. People are worried about their future and about how they're going to pay the rent and the mortgages and all the rest of it. And to have such a display of wealth, I think is probably ill-judged. I think it's costing somewhere between 100 and 250 million pounds, isn't it? And I'm sure it'll be a fantastic spectacle. I'm sure it'll all be very well organised and so on. But I think Charles has made a big mistake here. I don't think he's in any way even remotely as popular as his mother was. I think there was genuine feeling when her funeral was held that there was a lot of fondness for her, and I think a lot of people felt it was very sad she died. But I think as far as Charles is concerned, I think a lot of people think he's overprivileged and rather spoiled. And according to a very detailed and long investigation by The Guardian, they reckon he's worth 1.8 billion, and yet the taxpayer is having to pay for this coronation. I think had he been wise, had he been clever, and bearing in mind that he's not as anything like as popular as his mother, in fact, probably in many places he's quite unpopular, if he had come on television and said, look, I'm going to have a coronation. I appreciate that a lot of people are suffering, there isn't as much money around, and it would be inappropriate for me to have a big big coronation. I'm going to have a much more restrained event, and it'd be much smaller than I would have liked, and I'm going to pay for it. And I think the whole world would have said, the whole country would have said, well done. Enjoy your coronation, and we would have got behind it. But I think this just, no, we're going to pay. The taxpayer's going to pay. This is a guy who gets 80, his family, only 11 of them working, £80 million a year from the state. His estates that he owns earn him 20 odd million a year. This guy's not poor, and he could have afforded his own coronation. And I just don't think it's right. I know he wants to just go on with tradition. He doesn't want anything to change and so on, but this was all judged in my view. And, I hope it all goes off very well. It was all a great success, but I don't think it was the right thing to do. I think now is the time for us all to be a bit more sensitive, a bit more aware of other people who are suffering, and that's many people. So anyway, with that, it's slightly shorter than usual, but if you've watched this far, thank you very much for doing so, and until next time, bye for now.